First of all, my joyful pranam on the lotus feet of Sri Thakur and Jagat Mata. My joyful pranam to the one and only representative of Sri Thakur, Mahanta Maharaj. My joyful pranam to all the sadhu sons present over here. My joyful pranam to all the trustee members. My joyful pranam to the president of the Tattva Vidayaka Samiti. And lastly, my joyful pranam to one and all present over here. Today, the topic of my agenda will be somewhat different. Today, I am not just here to cite the same things that Thakur Maharaj has said to us or repeat his life story. Today, I am here to give you a deep insight on what are the teachings of Thakur Maharaj and how can we implement them in our daily life and society, and why have we not been able to do so. As most of us already know, Thakur Maharaj was a mystic and a holistic spiritual leader who gained his immense knowledge from traveling and experiencing the world himself. His knowledge is one of practicality and experience and not of books and fictionalism. And due to the practicality that knowledge holds, it becomes a cornerstone and a reference for people and mere mortals like you and me to look upon it and become ideal human beings. From the vast sea of knowledge, it is almost impossible to compile it into a single book or a single speech. But today, I have tried to take out a few headers that might as well summarize whole of the knowledge that he has passed down to us. From the many headers that I have brought, the first one is fourfold yoga in life, which includes jnana, bhakti, seva and yoga. Jnana or knowledge helps us in understanding our true self. Bhakti or devotion towards Guru and God helps us in attaining moksha. Yoga or meditation helps us in maintaining the purity of our body and mind. And seva or service to God is in form of seva to God in the form of service to humankind. After that, he tells us about the importance of a guru, where one of his most strongest teachings emerge as Guru is the living embodiment of the divine truth. True spiritual progress is impossible without guidance, grace and initiation from a realized Guru. He tells us that Guru is a visible God who leads the disciple to the invisible God. Now, after that, his teaching shifts towards brahmacharya, where he tells us to maintain the purity of our mind, to have clean thoughts and disciplined living, etc. He tells us that without maintaining the purity of our body and mind, higher spiritual realization is not possible. After that, there comes a relatable topic in his teaching that is still discussed in many religious conventions around the world today. That is, service to God through service to humanity, where he tells us to help everyone around us with compassion. That includes helping the poor, helping the weak, educating the children, etc. But moreover, he tells us that this should be part of one's spiritual conscience so that it can become a win-win template for all, for both the provider and the seeker. The man who wants to gain spiritual karma wins, and the man who is in desperate need of humanitarian help also wins. Now, the next idea is still discussed in many assemblies around the world. It has also been adopted in many constitutions also. That is, respect towards all religious paths. Thakur Maharaj promoted respect towards all the religious paths. He explicitly emphasized that all religious paths lead to the same ultimate truth. He promoted harmony between the scriptures as he himself studied under the masters of various traditions such as Jnana, Bhakti, Yoga, Prema, etc. He promoted spiritual unity. After that, he tells us about God's realization in household life. which truly is an idea to create an inclusive society in our truly diverse Indian society, where he tells us that unlike the saints who attain renunciation, even householders could attain moksha through divine practice and meditation. He tells us that family life can be a field for spiritual practice rather than being an obstacle. After that comes one of the most important ideas, that is the idea of a simple and pure living. He asks us to follow honest work for living. Then he tells us to maintain clean habits. And after that, the most important part is moderation in food, sleep and pleasure, where he tells us that simplicity strengthens our body and mind for spiritual progress. Without maintaining the simplicity of our body and mind, higher spiritual realization is never possible. After that comes something that is really important to maintain peace in our world. That is spreading love through religion, where he tells us to loving God with intensity and to practice the feelings of forgiveness, compassion and kindness. He tells us that we must spread love around us so as to uplift us as well as them spiritually. After that, he tells us to read the ancient Hindu scriptures. But there's a catch. The catch is we need to study ancient Hindu scriptures like Bhagavatam, Upanishads, Gita, etc. but not without the guidance of a guru. Knowledge only becomes useful when it leads to realization. After that, he tells us to live a disciplined life, where he tells us to do self-study and introspection and to observe our own mind and correct our own mistakes.
Hey Aditya, break your speech. Time. Go to Kamagoru. Service to man in the service to God, man in the living God. The Baba Thakur protest of the Thakur and Nigamananda Separation Foundation. How about कौन जो तो बाबा तुम्हारे को ले 50,000 टका मुझे इंग्लिश भाषा में भाषण देली सेतिबाई 50,000 टका दबा को पड़िबो निवारण से ओके तो लड़का ने खाई तो का बोलो गोसी.
At last but not the least, there is the most important idea, that is Sangha Shakti Pratishtha. As most of us can already make out, it is made up of 3 words, that is Sangha, Shakti and Pratishtha. Here, the Sangha stands for a collection of individual seekers who want to seek the divine and the invisible power of God. Shakti here means that invisible power of God. And Pratishtha means the establishment. When we put all 3 together, we get the word that creating unity between the seekers of these divine power so that this divine power may get embedded in them. But there are some conditions. Thakur Maharaj has said that individual practice is important, but due to some basic mathematics and supernatural powers, when spiritual practice is done in groups or sanghas, it becomes twice and thrice as powerful. When we practice spirituality in groups, ego dissolves and there is a natural flow of spiritual power. But lastly, he warned us about something, that a sangha without humility becomes politics and a sangha without discipline becomes noise. With that, I would like to conclude my speech. Thank you and have a wonderful day ahead.
तो बापू का को 50,000 टका आने निगमानंद सेवाश्रम फाउंडेशन को बुझी पाइल तो এই ওয়ারেস টা খাই দেব তো তো খাই দেব নে এটা খাই দেব আরে একটু মোট করতে বলে নাই মতে গোটে এরকম মুদ্রা জমাই দিও নিয়ম পঞ্চক সম্পর্কে বক্তব্য রাখবেন দুর্গা দাস